Hello everyone, thank you for coming tonight. I wanted to start out the 1-hour presentation with a brief description of what we're going to cover tonight. This is really part of a series of wealth building classes that I've developed and rolling out as we speak. And we're really excited about it. I think that this is a good fundamental course that teaches, that gives you the foundation for building wealth. And so the recession has affected a lot of Americans. And what I hope to do is help people recover from the recession. As part of my law practice, I see a lot of people day-to-day suffering through economic hardships. In fact, last night, I've got a call from a client that was literally crying, very upset with her circumstances. The creditors were continually calling, harassing her. She felt that she was to the end of her rope, basically, with just straddled with debt, not knowing where to turn, where to go, and she just openly wept. And that inspires me to reach out to people, to teach them what I know based on my years of practice, my years of investments myself, and going through very much the same hardships that many Americans have gone through. So, so this is not just a legal lecture. We'll cover how to use the law to your benefit, to help you reach your financial goals. But really, this is more of taking an overall approach of learning how to build wealth in your life and hopefully lead a better life, not just from a financial perspective, but from a spiritual well-being that we hope you could achieve, not just through money, but through self-satisfaction, satisfaction with your life, and just an overall improvement of your life, which in turn will help your family and your friends develop better lives. So that's pretty much what this is going to be about. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's really building wealth is really not about getting rich quick. It's really more about having the right mindset, developing financial goals, and working towards them. And that's really what this program is designed to do. Now, with that in mind, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I graduated from Berry College near Atlanta, Georgia. From there, I went to law school at Washington College of Law at American University in Washington, D.C., graduated in 1991. From there, I started my career as a prosecutor here in South Florida, in Broward County, Florida. And then I went to work with a medical malpractice defense firm. I've done litigation, trials, and just developed a legal career that way, working also for insurance companies. But really around 10 years ago, I started being involved in real estate investments, as well as opening up a small firm, law firm that I did simultaneously. So that's been developing over the years, and which brings me here today, where since I started a small firm, basically working out of basically my garage at home and putting out small ads, and lo and behold, there was a big response. A lot of people were looking for the very legal services that I'm going to cover tonight. And so what turned out to be a small part-time law firm in my home has developed into now, we have about 15 people. I felt like Robin Hood, who you start out by yourself, but then as you go through your journey, you start meeting other people, other professionals, other experts that have so much experience, so much knowledge and skills and expertise that helps you achieve your goal along the way. And I've asked them to come on board, and I have the honor of having them work with me and developing what I like to refer to them as a power team. So it's not just me, it's really relying on my staff of experts, knowledgeable experts that work with me to help clients every day with their financial goals and planning. So Right now we handle a lot of debt defense. We also handle estate planning, asset protection, because as people start accumulating wealth, they have to focus on protecting it. And that's where asset protection comes in. There's a lot of legal tools out there to help people maintain their wealth. And also estate planning, of course, that involves the transferring of one's wealth to family upon certain circumstances, including the death of the individual. So, now to cover a little bit of what we're going to cover tonight, the agenda, and that involves, basically, again, this is not just a legal lecture, but really more of a focus on building wealth. And what I'm going to cover tonight is, I think, the most critical part of this, which really doesn't have to do with the law. It has to do with you, the individual, developing the mindset for success. So I'm going to cover that first, and that's probably one of the more important pieces of my presentation tonight. And from there, I'm going to cover getting finally to the legal options that are available to people to help them get to where they want to be. Like I said, this is a fundamental course, an introductory course. There's no way I can teach, especially in 1 hour, everything there is to know about building wealth. But what I can do is reach out to people that are working with debt issues, financial crisis, helping them not just overcome those challenges, but to build a life where they can actually achieve success. And there may be people out there that feel that, like the lady I spoke to last night, that are in a desperate situation and they don't know where to turn. Creditors are hounding them, a lot of negativity in their lives, and they're just being torn apart, and they're letting themselves be torn apart, rather than to know that there are options, there is help, there are ways to get out of your predicament and actually improve your life, and like I said, actually build wealth if that's what you really want to do. What I'll be talking and touching upon is dealing with debt first, which is, and I broke that out into dealing with home debts, mortgages, how to work with HOAs if you have encountered any challenges relating to homeowner associations or condo associations, which is prevalent here in South Florida. Then we're talking about non-home related debt, which includes credit cards, medical bills, and options to deal with that. And then we're going to touch upon bankruptcy. There are options, and again, this is all part of a legal plan to help somebody work themselves out of debt and achieve the success and wealth that they hope to achieve. And then I have the pleasure of having who I consider one of the best attorneys that I know in this area, Daniel Tam, who's going to help me finish the presentation on bankruptcy and talk a little bit about consumer protection statutes and credit restoration. So that's pretty much what we're going to cover here tonight. Now getting to, like I said, what I think is one of the more exciting parts of the presentation, which is about mindset. For that, I want to turn first to one of the fundamental books in this area. It's a book known as Think and Grow Rich. The author is Napoleon Hill. This is one of, if you haven't heard of it, it's one of the more, it's basically the equivalent of the Bible, if you will, for financial success. And this is a book, the way I came across it was developing my website, which is cabanaslawfirm.com. And I was looking for inspirational sayings that I can use to provide people that are looking for this kind of help. And lo and behold, as I was searching for the meaning that I was trying to convey, that's when I started to see a lot of references to this book and this author. And I said, wow, this is, let me see what this book is about. And as it turns out, this is a book that was written, many years ago. And it was Napoleon Hill was somebody who had interviewed over 500 affluent, successful men and women of his time. We're talking about Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, the list goes on. And he was given free access to these wealthy, successful individuals that would normally not even meet with anyone. And he sat down with them and on a very personal level learned what they did to achieve the incredible, extraordinary success that they achieved in their lives. And this is unprecedented history, that was being made. I don't know if they knew what was happening, but he collected all of this knowledge and put it in this one book. And it was, it still is one of the fundamental introductory books known thus far. I think one of the more successful authors of all time, simply because he did this study and published it. And let me show you a copy. This is the Think and Grow Rich book that I used. Now, it has an incredible amount of information. I can't cover it all tonight, obviously, but I can hit on two of the points. And the first point that I think is more relevant for what we're discussing here today relates to where to start. Often people think, oh, I become rich by buying a lotto ticket. And yeah, if you hit the lotto, you do become rich. But there's a difference. And that is, yes, you can get rich. Of course, the odds are against you in a lot of ways, but the book talks about the fundamentals of building wealth. And the way to do that is really boils down to desire, motivation. If there's any one secret, if you will, that wealthy people have, it is the desire to achieve a better life, no matter what it is that they are, what challenges they're facing. And the people that Napoleon Hill refers to in his book were facing enormous challenges. From Andrew Carnegie, there's a mention of Edwin Barnes, who was basically a pauper, almost a homeless person with nothing, whose life dream was to become a business associate of Thomas Edison. And he was one of the people that was interviewed who became extraordinarily successful and wealthy by his affiliation with Thomas Edison. And he worked in Thomas Edison's company and starting doing menial jobs and eventually worked himself up to becoming a huge business associate of his and reaching phenomenal success. Same with Andrew Carnegie, who was also a steel worker, working for fraction, work a day at a steel mill, and eventually he became worked his way up the ranks and became a very successful entrepreneur, and one of the best known people in the history of American history. But in the book, getting back to desire and goal setting, the book mentions, again, it's very much in depth, but there's a 6-part plan that I'm going to refer to here that I think is really relevant. And this is one of the first chapters where Napoleon Hill says that here's the 6-part plan that these people have made or developed and to become successful. The first part of this 6-part plan is, it reads as follows: fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It's not sufficient to merely say, I want plenty of money. You have to be definite as to the amount. Number 2, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such reality as something for nothing. So you have to develop a plan. You've got to be passionate about that plan. Step 3, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. Again, this is part of goal setting. If you put a timeline to your plan, it makes it more real and it helps develop the motivation you need to get there. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once. Whether you're ready or not, you have to put this plan into action. Part 5. Write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition and state what you intend to give in return for the money. Describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. Part 6. Read your written statement aloud, twice daily. Once just before retiring at night and once rising in the morning. And then he bolds the following. He says, as you read, see and feel and believe, you're already in possession of money. So you might be wondering, why am I citing a book on getting wealthy when you're struggling with debt, financial hardship? Well, this is how you get out of debt and financial hardship, is by thinking that you can build the wealth, not that you feel that you need to overcome the current situation that you're in. The second part that I wanted to discuss relates to what the challenges. Once you built in your desire, you developed your motivation, you have to look at what challenges can come up as you're carrying out your plan. And one of the things he discusses that you could develop the greatest plan in the world, you could be motivated, but there's several obstacles, and he lists them in his book, but the biggest obstacle for somebody who's in a debt situation is the fear of poverty. He says that this trips a lot of people up. I'll just read a quick paragraph here. It says, there can be no compromise between poverty and riches. The two roads that lead to poverty and riches travel in opposite directions. If you want riches, you must refuse to accept any circumstance that leads to poverty. The word riches here is used in the broadest sense, meaning financial, spiritual, mental, and material estates. The starting point of the path that leads to riches is desire. Here then is the place to give yourself a challenge that will definitely determine how much of this philosophy you have absorbed. Here's the point at which you turn prophet and foretell accurately what future holds in store for you. If after reading this chapter you are willing to accept poverty, you might as well make up your mind to receive poverty. This is the decision you cannot avoid. So what he's saying here is basically that your mindset, if you give in to the fear of poverty, that's where you'll be. You succumb to that fear. However, if you develop the desire and the plan to overcome that, you can. Okay, so that is one of the fundamentals of breaking out of debt. It's not just the legalities of this, which we're going to cover in a minute, but it's developing the motivation, the desire, and the plan. And I encourage you to read this book because it will help you overcome the financial hardship you may be experiencing.